Hi, my angels. Welcome back to the podcast, a space where we tell the truth, where we heal out loud, where we choose courage in our lives over autopilot. Today's episode is about burnout. Burnout 101. Not just work burnout, but soul burnout. The kind where you're still waking up, you're still functioning, you're maybe still smiling, but on the inside, it feels like you're running on fumes, like you're tired but wired, you're anxious but you're exhausted. I hosted a restorative class this weekend called Bye-Bye Burnout, and it reminded me of how many of us are exhausted, not just physically but emotionally. So today I want to talk about what burnout really is, how to recognize when we're slipping into it, and how to climb out gently. Before we dive in, let's take a slow breath together, because if you're listening to this episode, your body probably needs it. I want you to ground in, find a comfy seat, zone in if you're driving or on the go. Wherever you are, let's breathe. Empty the air from your lungs. Breathe in. Open mouth, exhale. Inhale, fill up. Open mouth, exhale. Breathe in. Open mouth, exhale. Good. A little weekend check-in. I had the most beautiful weekend. It was so full, so eventful. On Friday, I was feeling so wired and anxious. The night before, I haven't been getting great sleep, and I'll tell you why. One of the reasons, I think, is because my parasites. I know. Hate me for saying it, but I think it's true. I have a lot of other symptoms that I feel like that is definitely pointing towards that. But also, the restlessness that comes from being a creative is so overwhelming sometimes. My brain never shuts off, and I'm fully wired at 2 a.m. thinking of ideas, writing notes in my Notion app, planning out future podcasts. It's almost like this scarcity mindset where I'm like, I need to get these ideas down on paper, because if I don't, I'm going to lose it. The ideas just feel so pressing at the moment when I'm going through that wave. And I want to get better about like noticing where in my cycle, like my 28-day cycle, that happens, because I feel like there might be a pattern with it. Maybe it's like when I'm on the ramp up towards ovulation. I don't really know what, but there is definitely a pattern to the madness. And then I'll sink into like the daily routine again and taking the next right action instead of like getting overwhelmed by the big picture ideas or having this huge download and feeling like I need to act on it right now. And I don't know if I've said this on the pod already. I've been saying it a lot lately, but I keep reminding myself not every idea needs to be acted upon. Another one is I am enough even as I become. And those two things, in addition to this mindset of like, just keep fucking going, is keeping me sane right now, because my brain, a lot of the times I don't have control over my thoughts, and I'm doing everything I can to regulate as best as I can, but I still fall off. I've been falling off my meditations the last week or so. My gut health, since I talked about having pizza and just moving on with your life, has declined severely. Gut discomfort, I can just tell things are off. I'm sure you can relate to a wave of challenging gut health symptoms where you're going through it and it's like, I don't even want to be around anybody because I don't trust my gut right now. And I think it's a multitude of levels, or I think it's from a multitude of places. I think it's from the things I've been eating, the lack of sleep, the increased stress load, the lack of meditation, the lack of journaling. And so the other night I like full blown purged into my journal, like pages upon pages of things that I hadn't been processing. And it's probably been a week or two since I've last wrote in my journal. And it was another reminder, like, these are the things that we need to be doing every single day or every other day or on a frequent basis, so I don't get to this place where I'm not sleeping and a mental purge of sorts happens because I've been bottling too much stuff up inside and I'm not taking the proper amount of like stress. I'm not releasing that every day. So then it builds up really quickly, and I'm grateful that my body responds so fast, but it's also very stressful and very overwhelming. So I had another reminder of like why I keep talking about preventing burnout, why I keep talking about self-care and boundaries and September and all the things that I did on Instagram the previous month. And it's so hard to stay consistent with the things that we know are going to benefit us. I am the perfect example of it. Like, I feel that so hard. One week I'm on it, I'm centered in my why, I'm locked in. And then the next week I'm like, I don't even know why I care about meditating. I don't care. I'm not going to meal prep my lunches because I don't care. Even today, I'm running on a couple bites of cottage cheese, a full cup of coffee, and I'm currently drinking a protein shake from Starbucks because nothing else on campus is gluten-free and my gut is just extra sensitive right now. So I'm not going to go get some egg bites or whatever. I just know I can't tolerate it. So I am not walking the talk right now to the best of my abilities. But for me, walking the talk is also like, yeah, I'm not perfect. Here's how I'm showing up. I do not have it all together. So that's what I've been going through since I last recorded. It's funny how things change so quickly. And when it comes to burnout, like that same experience happens for me. I could be fully thriving one day and then completely emotionally dysregulated, feeling burnt out, feeling like I have nothing left to give, feeling dead inside, just because of the fluctuation of emotions. And there's so many other factors that play into why we feel that way, especially as people with a womb or people with a 28-day menstrual cycle. Our hormones fluctuate so much, and that dictates so much of how we feel. And my boyfriend's over here showing up consistent on his circadian rhythm, 24-hour time clock, and I'm like feeling like a wreck. And I have to give myself some grace because I'm like, okay, I'm on a completely different cycle and timeline than he is. So that's kind of what I've been going through. But this weekend was so beautiful. I went for a run to kind of get some of that mental anxiety out. My mom always told me to get the energy out, get the anxiety out, like go work out, go lift when you're going through a breakup, when you're sitting with your thoughts and you're feeling so stuck. Get it out, go for a walk, go move some weight, like go do something to shift your state. And that has always stuck with me. That's always really helped me. So I did that to start the weekend. I was outside, I go to the pavilion and there's all these people at Cheeseman flowing their little flow stars. By the way, I really want one. That's going to be on my Christmas list because I want to do that. And vibing and roller skating and dancing. And there was wubby wub music playing. And I was just like, I'm here for it. I love Denver. I went to work that night. The next day, I had a chill morning, hung out with my boyfriend. It's hard for me to even remember what I all did this weekend. What did we do? Oh my God, we went to Highland Park. Or no, not Highland Park, Highlands Ranch. And walked around at the park with his dog. And we're just like dreaming about buying a house out there someday. And it was so refreshing to get out of the city, see a different mountain view. We went to an all gluten-free breakfast place. The burritos were subpar, but the pastries were amazing. So that was really fun. And then I taught my Bye-Bye Burnout yoga class. It was a 75-minute restorative workshop with kind of a similar approach to how I teach my yin classes on Sunday nights, but it had elements of writing. I made this warm golden milk tea that I shared with everybody. I had candles. I did little essential oils at the end. We went around and shared a word that we took away from the practice at the end. And I had everybody write on sticky notes, 2 different sticky notes, and put them up on the mirror underneath 2 different categories, receive and release. And they wrote what they wanted to receive and they wrote what they wanted to release. And it was just so beautiful. You know, I'm all about a deep conversation. And sometimes, even though yoga is such a beautiful, sacred space, it doesn't always promote that next level of connection and vulnerability. And I know a lot of times it's hard to even say hi to your neighbor, let alone like get into deep conversation. And when I looked at these sticky notes after, it moved me so much because everybody wrote down similar things. It was like people wanted to feel community, a sense of connection, a sense of relief, hope, joy, belief in themselves, and they wanted to release negative self-talk, anger, fears, pressures, expectations, the insanity of the thinking mind, you name it. There was the full spectrum of like what we all want to receive and release. And it was so relatable and so powerful. And so at the end, I told all of the students to go look up at the mirror and just read everybody's answers and kind of check it out on their way out. Just as a reminder, it's so important to remember I am not alone in this experience. I'm not alone. Like everything that we go through, whether it's sadness, health issues, addiction, mental health struggles, whatever it is so easy to feel isolated because we don't talk about it. So that's why I have this podcast. And a lot of why we get burnt out is because we're not talking about it. Community is so essential, such a key ingredient in the recipe that is prevention from burnout. So I want to define what burnout is, how it shows up in our lives. This is a lot of what I talked about in the yoga class and things that I covered. And then how to prevent it, how to keep it from coming back, how to shorten that cycle of burnout quicker. And I also am linking a burnout PDF, a free little freebie guide that I sent to all of the yogis that went to the class on Saturday night. But it's just a nice way it's a tool that you can either print out, you can keep on your phone, you can come back to whenever you need it. Maybe you start it as a weekly ritual of different check-in questions. You get to do that part of what you want to receive, what you want to release. There's some really nice prompts in there. And then an image of a burnout cycle. And I feel like the mixture of the prompts with the imagery is so powerful because burnout can be so hard to pinpoint sometimes until we're way too late on the other side of the spectrum of like, I have nothing left to give and I have no idea how to climb my way out. So let's dive into what burnout is. Burnout is physical and emotional exhaustion. That's the definition. It creates this sense of detachment and depersonalization. It creates a decline in the sense of personal accomplishment, like your sense of achieving things declines. And where it stems from is prolonged stress and overworking, which causes degraded relationships and mental health issues. The key causes of it are linked to work oftentimes, caregiving, life pressures, and it causes this perceived lack of control, insufficient reward or recognition, perceived lack of social support and community, and perceived lack of meaning and purpose. It's this silent yet chronic epidemic that happens when we ignore our emotional and energetic boundaries. And in order to recharge, in order to prevent it, it requires slowing down, disconnecting from the external stimulus, reconnecting to what's inside, creating space to release, to process, to let go of what's stealing your energy, your light, your peace. And yin yoga is one of those beautiful, gentle pathways back to balance. That's why I'm so passionate about it. That's why I teach it. That's why I capitalized on it and made a workshop out of it, because this is something so many of us are struggling with so often. And there is hope, and it starts with slowing down. Yin yoga is one of the most effective, gentle, restorative tools to recover from burnout. The top benefits of yin yoga, and I guess I should define yin yoga. Okay, so think of the yin and yang symbol, the white and the black halves on that circle. The white is the yang. So that identifies as like the masculine energy, the power vinyasa, the sun. And then the dark side is like the moon, or even think of like the new moon, that point where you go inwards. It's the feminine energy. It's introspective. It's resting. It's slowing down. It's almost like sympathetic is the yang, parasympathetic is the yin. So I hope that makes sense. Yin yoga is restorative, slow, stretchy yoga where you hold and breathe and sit with your shit for an hour. The top benefits of doing that versus pushing, grinding, doing the hot flow, going for a run, doing this, never stopping. Yin yoga reactivates the parasympathetic nervous system. It regulates cortisol levels and reduces chronic stress, which improves your sleep and deep rest. I have students say that they've got some of the best sleep in their entire life after my class. Like, it is so potent in helping you shift gears from that chronic sympathetic fight or flight running on high octane to, oh my gosh, I can actually slow down. Like, I actually have a little bit more space in my head. I'm ready to rest. It's hard to feel that when we're always connected. We're always on our phones. We're always ready to do the next thing. We're thinking about our to-do list. We're thinking about how we're going to spend our day, our week, our night, or whatever. It drops us back into the right here and now and reminds us the importance and the release that can happen when we create space. It also increases flexibility and circulation in the physical body without exertion. It rebuilds your mind-body connection through breath and stillness. And what I had my students focus on is breathing and not achieving, and being kind to yourself, because healing takes time. And a huge quote that has guided my life ever since my autoimmune burnout episode, where I had to completely change my lifestyle in order to combat chronic illness, is to listen to your body's whispers, because if you don't, your body will scream at you. And I have had multiple periods where my body is yelling at me. So if you can do yourself a favor and listen when you start to feel those acute symptoms of burnout and actually pull back, actually do what you need to go inside, to restore, to recharge. Like, imagine you plugging yourself in like a little iPhone charger. How can you plug in and just literally get off the phone, leave it aside, plug it in, ditch it? How can you do that for yourself until you feel like you again, until you feel like your cup is full? Everything is so connected, our emotions, our physical symptoms, and we're moving into an age where working as hard as you possibly can is not the only way anymore, but it's really up to us to regulate, to take care, to unwind, and to crawl inside ourselves. And when we do that, we can inspire reflection, connection to ourselves. We receive a physical release. But no one tool is going to be your answer. It's not just going to be yin yoga. It's not just going to be meditating in the morning. It's not just going to be a weekend off social media or a day on the couch watching TV. You might need all the tools, or you might need different tools depending on the day. And that's also what I love about yoga so much, is it teaches you how to reconnect with the inner guidance system that is your intuition. And that is a natural GPS that guides your decisions every single day. It's a constant measuring of like, where's my energy at? How am I feeling? What do I need? And how do I make a choice that aligns with that? We make so many decisions in a day. I don't know if you've heard about decision fatigue, but that kind of reminds me of burnout. I forget what the stat is, but it's insane. Let me look it up. There's literally, it's like thousands of decisions that we make every day. One sec. The average adult makes about 35,000 decisions a day, ranging from small choices like what to wear to more significant ones. Are you kidding? I do not even want to think about that. 35,000 decisions is insane to me. Every single breath, essentially, we're making a decision. So how can we facilitate that process by creating more consistency with how we connect to ourselves? And then how does that translate into the decisions that we make, those more automatic decisions? The automatic decisions are the ones that happen more often than not. So what do we need to do to build a stronger automatic decision-making system? Does that make sense? I'm just running on a rift here. I don't even know what I'm saying, but this is just making sense in my brain. That is how I feel like we can prevent burnout, is connecting to ourselves more frequently, learning how to slow the F down and check back in with ourselves and do things that actually recharge us. Nature, sleep, connecting with other humans, not burning out on our phone, putting pressure on ourselves to do things that we feel obligated to do, like what's actually going to fuel you. Because if we don't have our health, if we don't have our mental health, our physical, our spiritual, emotional health, we literally have nothing. All of the dreams that we so deeply want to achieve will not go anywhere if we don't have our health in check. Like, we are going to spiral and burn out if we don't take care of ourselves first before we give energy to the world. The next time that you want to push too hard and you want to forego rest in the name of productivity, I want you to remember these things about what burnout does to you. Number one, it over triggers your sympathetic nervous system, so it keeps that fight or flight state on. It causes increased cortisol and adrenaline levels. It disrupts your body's equilibrium. Number two, it impairs your stress response. So your body can't effectively respond to future stressors because it lowers the threshold to situations that normally wouldn't be as stressful to you. So all of a sudden, that window of tolerance that you have, how much stress you can handle, gets smaller and smaller. So you're overreacting, you're getting dysregulated, you're completely spinning out over things that used to not trigger you as much because of the wearing down that happens with the chronic stress, with the chronic increased cortisol. Number three, it causes neurotransmitter imbalances. So it's not just because you're lazy, it's not just because you're weak, or burnout isn't this like personal problem that you should feel ashamed about. It literally causes the chemicals in your brain to change. The dopamine levels, your norepinephrine levels, those happy chemicals that regulate mood, motivation, overall mental well-being, dip. So that's going to cause more anxiety, more depression, a decreased cognitive function, and then that spirals into your sleep, which is number 4, sleep. Sleep is your number 1 for restoration. It exacerbates symptoms when you lose sleep. So then the next day, number 5, your cognitive impairment, your memory, your concentration, your problem solving, your decision making, your mental clarity, and the difficulty you feel doing daily life tasks is going to spiral out of control. You're not going to be functioning well. You're going to be feeling so confused, so foggy, so exhausted, the tired but wired feeling, all because we're pushing too hard and we don't know how to regulate. We don't have those bumpers in place. I don't know why, but whenever I think about like mental health, I always come back to thinking about a bowling alley and like having the bumpers so that your mind, that is the bowling ball, as it knocks around down the, what is it called? Alley? Bowling alley? As your bowling ball goes down the lane, when life throws you off, your ball's going to sway to the side and you're going to have a bumper in place that's going to keep you from going in the gutter. Damn, what a good analogy. I really like that. One random highlight I want you to remember too is burnout isn't a sign of weakness. It is a signal. It's a signal to your body, to your mind, and to your heart because they need your attention. Your only job when you're slowing down, when you're recharging, is to receive. And it's so hard to switch that go switch off, that switch that wants to do more, to be more productive. I don't know about you, but my brain is always thinking I could be doing something else if I'm not cooking for myself or prepping or hanging out with a friend and also doing yoga or also on a walk that helps me get to my workout goal or sitting with my boyfriend and doing homework. Like, it is so hard for me to just do one thing, especially when it's something slower. And that's why I think yoga, especially in a studio, is so important because it carves that hour out for you without a phone, without the pressures and whatever comes up in your mind, you can't respond to. You can't quickly grab your phone or get up off the couch and switch gears of what you're doing. You have to sit there and let your mind work through that and create some space from the cyclical thinking that happens when you're strung out all the time and you never take space for yourself. So how do we come back from burnout? Self-care. Mac Miller. Turn on that song when you need a little self-care. Set boundaries. Seek support and have stress management techniques in your back pocket. You have more tools in your toolkit than you know. You're probably just not using them. Are you drinking water? Are you getting off your phone at a certain time? Are you writing even a sentence in your journal? Are you telling people in your life that you trust about the things you're struggling with? Because if you're not doing any or all of that, that's where we need to start. You don't need another healer, another $1,000 guide or coaching program. Maybe you do. Maybe that's going to help you kind of switch gears. But odds are you have a lot of the power inside of yourself already to make those changes and to start recharging. But the thing is, you have to give yourself permission to stop giving so much to other people, to stop putting such high expectations on yourself, because sometimes the level of burnout is so severe that you have to pull back until you feel like you again. You cannot be devoted to your passions, to your partner, to your life, to your friends, to your aspirations when you are not full. And that's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. That's something I'm scared of because I've struggled with such intense burnout before that I'm scared that like everything I'm working towards right now, showing up again on social media, doing my podcast again, obviously I burnt out and stopped doing the podcast. Obviously I was off social media for a long time and I have done that multiple times. And so that fractures my trust with myself of what am I actually capable of handling? And every time it gets hard, every time I burn out, I quit. And so where I'm feeling this inner fire inside right now is from a place of wanting to sustain what I'm building. And I have a sticky note on my mirror that says, be, do, have. Energy is greater than action. And I have to remember that every single day, that it's not about how much action I'm taking. It's about the energy behind it. And if I'm waking up and going on social media and not eating and only drinking coffee and anxious as fuck and haven't taken a single breath during my day and have no idea where I'm at, like literally haven't been present a single moment in my day, is that really the energy that I want to create for my life? Like if I was managing my own career, if I was a full-time like solo entrepreneur business owner, is that the type of energy I would be wanting to live from? No. That energy is not going to shift once I have the thing, once I have more free time, once I have a different job, once I'm in a certain phase of my relationship, once we buy a house, once I have a family, once I get engaged. The destinational happiness is such an illusion. We have to create our state and focus on the energy first before we take action. And the burnout diagram that I have on that PDF shows how that spiral happens of like taking on too much, not setting boundaries, pushing past your limits, not listening to those subtle cues, just giving into that pressure of taking on more, doing more so that you feel more worthy as a person. That is going to send you into a place that is not sustainable, where you're actually going to lose everything that you've built because either your health gets compromised or you mentally can't handle the load anymore. And I personally want to build something big. I don't know what quote unquote big looks like. I know that's like a vague term, but I want to make an impact. And I know that my voice matters, my message matters, and I have something to share through my creativity, through my experience, through my voice. And in order for me to actually keep building on that from this foundation that I'm starting to who knows where I could be in 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 years could be amazing and astronomical, but that is only going to happen if I stay rooted in the practices that keep me centered and balanced and regulated. Because dysregulation equals burnout, period, point blank. One tip that I really love is make a dopamine menu. My first thing on my dopamine menu, cat pets. Insight Timer is a free meditation app. I use it every single day. It starts to count how many days I've meditated in a row. It kind of reminds me of my sobriety app that I used to have. And when I would think about using again, I'm like, shit, I already have 30 days or 60 days. Like, I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to start the time clock over. And sometimes when I'm meditating and I feel like I don't want to do it that day, I'm like, I already have 3 weeks under my belt. Like, I don't want to lose those 21 days. But I think I'm at 1 day right now because I didn't meditate this weekend and I've been off the cadence a little bit. So that's one of my tools in my dopamine menu is Insight Timer, preferably in the morning. Petting my cat, like the morning snugs. Are you kidding? It's the best thing ever. Coffee walks with friends give me life. I just met 2 girlies at the last concert that I went to, Big Gigantic, which was a blast. It was at Red Rocks, and I'm going to Daily Bread this weekend. This podcast will be out probably way after that, like around Halloween or maybe even after. But I'm really stoked about another Whoopie Whoop show at Red Rocks. So that's going to be on my dopamine menu for this weekend. I hope you can see through my rambling rant that like there is no one dopamine menu tool, and the spectrum of like what the energy is of those things. How do I want to say this? The dopamine menu can vary from a nap to a rave to a music festival, right? And it just depends on the energy that we have to give and being willing to say no. Be willing to say no to the things that aren't going to fuel us and say yes to the things that we know we need even when it's hard. Yes could be a walk when we don't want to. Taking a walk when we want to run, slowing that pace down. Taking a nap, taking a weekend off socials, putting your hand on your heart and knowing, trusting that it is okay for you to say no to a friend, to a partner, to yourself, to a commitment you made, to something you feel obligated to do in the name of preserving your energy long term. Because remember, your energy is greater than your action, and you being loyal to yourself is the most important thing. I feel pretty complete with that. I feel pretty complete with the explanation of burnout, with how to come back from it. If you have any further questions on something specifically related to your experience with burnout, please DM me on Instagram or comment on the episode. There's a little comment section on Spotify now, so rate the podcast and comment on the episodes. I would love to engage with you because I'm just shouting into the void weekly per usual. So I would love if you did that. And I want you to ask yourself, how do you want to feel this week? Keep it really simple. Download the PDF guide if you want to go further into questions like that. How do you want to feel this week? You could use that tool that I've offered on Instagram before of the must, the should, and the fun. Your negotiables, your non-negotiables, and then something fun that you could do that's going to fill your cup. That can really simplify your focuses so you don't feel like your energy is going everywhere all the time, all at once. You have so many things to do. Really distill it back down to something simple. And how are you going to decrease your stress number? What does that dopamine menu for you look like? Maybe you pull out a journal and write a list. Maybe you find a list of a dopamine menu on Pinterest that really resonates with you. Whatever it is, make some intentional decisions this week to regulate, to choose how you're going to show up, and also how are you going to slow down? How are you going to sustain what you're building? Okay, wait, should we do an angel number? Let's do that really quick. I saw 333 after my yoga class this weekend. There was a license plate that said Milk 333. And for me, I took that as just a blessing because I brought a golden milk latte. This sounds so stupid, but I thought about it for a second and I was like, what's the message? Milk 333. And then it was just this aha for me of oh my God, you receive guidance and affirmation from the universe when you give. I didn't have to show up with all the bells and whistles of the golden milk tea, the candle, the writing. It could have just been a yoga class and a guided question, but I wanted to really put in the energy, and I feel like I got that back through who showed up, through the energy that people brought. It was so special. And so the message after was Milk 333, and it was kind of this reminder of you brought the golden milk, you brought something so warm, and it was such a gift and a treat to people. And so here's your little angel number. And 333 is a sign of growth, balance, harmony, and it encourages creativity and optimism. So when you see this number, it's related to a positive sign in your relationships, your career, and your ability to act on your creative projects. So that really resonates for me. The burnout class was such a creative project, and it suggests to you that you should trust your intuition. Why can't I talk? It suggests to you that you should trust your intuition and take action on your ideas. Mic drop. I don't even need to say anything else. Happy recharging from your burnout week, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening.